It's the driest shit I've ever seen.
It's so dry.
It's like a fucking camel, isn't it? What has he been eating? There was no smear or anything. It was like someone just fucking dropped a pebble. Disappointing.
I'm Penny, and welcome to the Punktastic Podcast.
Fuck you.
If you haven't heard before, we like to talk about music, and we love punk because our name's Punktastic. Isn't that funny? Isn't that a play on words? Joining
this
me.
This will mean nothing to so many people.
Joining me. It's free advertising, isn't it? Joining me on your own podcast. Free advertising. Back to normal voice.
No, I'm charging you for this.
Fine, all right.
I don't know how that works.
The worst part is he's taking the piss, but I'm also on that podcast, so it's not just you he's offending, you know?
Joining me is Andy.
Hi.
And
wait, now I'm confused.
Liam.
You're both me? How are you both me?
So, we love music. Welcome to the Fantastic. I'm sorry.
If you want to hear, everyone, how I'm not the glue and how I'm not very good at hosting, please listen to the Punktastic Podcast.
Oh, that's switchback.
If you want to hear shit reviews about shit computer games, head over to Dan's YouTube channel.
Whoa, what? Excuse me?
You know, I don't mean it.
I just told you
You
before.
shots fired first.
Excuse me, I am on a road to 1,000 right now, which I'm halfway there at the moment, Bon Jovi style, because I'm trying, and the reason for it is because I'm going to review Cats and Fucking Dogs, which people have known from this podcast and After Dark, if I reach 1,000 subscribers. We are now halfway there.
Go do it.
So yeah, go do it too. Are we just opening up with fucking adverts? Is that how we're fucking doing
I was going to say, Andy, you got anything you want to plug?
Maybe just the Punktastic Patreon. That's the only thing I care about.
Why are we plugging that?
There's a new Taco Bell opening up near us. We can go there when it's open. Big Tesco's. Check it out.
Big Tesco's.
Make sure you get a Shudder
In fact,
account.
it's going to be open by the time this comes out.
I just had a fax through, and we just got our first sponsor of the podcast.
All right, Johnny Mnemonic.
First sponsor is Wall's Sausages. Have you ever had sausages before, ladies and gents? Why are you laughing? This is serious. We actually got our first advert.
I want a MeUndies sponsorship.
No, we haven't. This is Wall Sausages.
Like a real podcast.
No, the one with the dog. We have Wall Sausages, the one with the dog in it. Wall Sausages. Oh my God. Are we going to get paid for this or not?
Wall sausages are crap.
No, because it's not real.
They're not even
Andy,
as good as Richmond sausages.
Shut the fuck up. Andy, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Wall Sausages come in packs of 6, 12,
He just wants to do the dog
and
voice.
18. I will at the end. And 18. Walls.
On a side note, I had to do some cracking maple syrup sausages. I highly recommend those. Maple and bacon. Delish. What is this podcast again?
Fucking hell.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I feel like doing a restart.
All the times that Dan's done the intro and forgotten to say what the podcast is. God, he sucks.
And his name.
Oh, I know my fucking name. Don't worry about that.
You didn't introduce yourself or the podcast, which is what you were taking the piss out of me for.
My name is Dan, and welcome to the Unusual Suspects podcast, episode 57. Joining me is Andy.
Hi.
And Penny.
Are we really doing this again? Hi.
No, we're just going to have the two of them. We have to at least do the official one in there. So now we've done it. It's done. After that fucking whatever that was beforehand. Anyway, welcome. Thinking of a couple of episodes ago, we kind of were joking the fact that England actually won the Euros. At time of recording, weirdly, they've made the final. So they may have actually won the Euros. So
we'll find out.
We know a sports podcast.
Yay, England. We did have last time. We were talking about Alan Brazil last time. Fucking hell.
Brazil.
What a show this is.
I don't care about the football. I'm mad at Lewis Hamilton still because I'm losing the F1.
All right. Let's not turn it into fucking talk sport again. Jesus
You
Christ.
started it again.
Pen, I hear you went back to the cinema to sit in a cold, dark room again. How was it this time?
It was great. I went to see Freaky starring Vince Vaughn and a girl because I did no prep for this segment apart from
And a girl.
just
Might
watching.
have been an Oscar award-winning performance, but a girl.
I mean, they should give Vince Vaughn an Oscar for pretending to be a 16-year-old girl. He was incredible. The girl in it is Catherine Newton, who plays Millie, and Vince Vaughn is the butcher. It is your standard Freaky Friday body swap movie. Millie is a high school student, and Vince Vaughn is the butcher, a serial killer, and they swap bodies. And it's fucking great. It was super funny.
Is it bloody or is it just funny?
Yeah, it's really gory. There's some really good kills in it. Some really creative ones. It's funny as fuck, though. It's really funny. Vince Vaughn is really funny as a 16-year-old girl.
Is it only funny because you have as we all know and everyone in the nation knows, you have a very strong connection to horror films? Is it funny in the sense of like it's a spoof on those kind of slasher films in a way?
It's not really a spoof of slasher films. It's literally just a body swap movie. But what would instead of Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan, like a mum and daughter swapping bodies, what would happen if this massive... Because Vince Vaughn's not a small
He's like
small
6'4", isn't he?
Yeah. So what if this big fucking serial killer that's used to just being able to rip people in half, well, maybe not rip people in half, but beat the shit out of people, is then suddenly in a small girl's body and vice versa?
Okay.
I mean, it's an interesting concept.
Yeah, I'm almost surprised no one's done it before. But I was going to say the whole cinema was laughing. There were only... I went with friend of the podcast, Chris. There were only 4 other people in the cinema because it was 1:00 on a Thursday afternoon.
Nice.
But
Best
it's
time.
really funny.
Best time,
Just
yeah.
sell it as the whole cinema was laughing and you're done.
Yeah. Well, it's true. The whole cinema was laughing. Yeah, it's gory. It's funny. It's a different enough take on the body swap movie without it being... You kind of know how it's going to go, but like Andy said, it's an interesting concept.
Cool.
And yeah, I would recommend. I have recommended it to 3 other people today already. So
Did you get Ice Tango while you were there?
no, I went to McDonald's beforehand.
Did you get any
Had a
popcorn?
burger.
Any refreshments to help the cinema out? Poor cinema.
No.
Did you smuggle some in?
No.
Like, did you smuggle in like a cheeky little cheeseburger just to enjoy halfway through?
No.
Because that's not helping the cinema. That's what
And
we
then
need.
eating it, going to the staff and eating it in front of the face. Excuse me, do you know where screen 2 is?
Have you got any ketchup?
Nope.
Oh, really?
Went in Southend, sat in McDonald's, had my McDonald's, and then went and watched the movie.
Okay, fair enough. Well, just want to make sure that you're supporting our cinemas.
But I paid for a ticket. Does that help? Christ.
I mean, it's a start, but I mean,
But they make all their money on popcorn, so
they do.
you know,
Yeah, they
just saying.
make. That's when they make the money, Pen. So I'm just disappointed in you.
I didn't want popcorn for lunch. Sorry.
Well, you know, we
It's
got.
also not my usual cinema, and I just... It's a bit...
Hey, all cinemas are. We're not distinguishing against one another. All cinemas are cinemas.
No, I'm just... I don't...
All
and I don't
cinemas
know...
matter.
Are they doing popcorn in this COVID world?
Yes.
Or is it not bagged popcorn?
is it not
bagged, it's
individually
bagged.
bagged? Yeah.
Yeah, it's bagged.
Yeah, I don't like bagged popcorn particularly.
Mm.
So, sorry.
All right, sure. What was that noise? Sorry, what was
What
that?
was that? Was that
just-
Sherlock?
No, I heard it on your camera. What was that?
Who's got their window open?
I don't think it was Marcy. My neighbours were fucking noisy earlier. But
Got your fan on.
Okay, I think we got.
fuck, is it?
An
Is it an internet ghost?
ghost.
No, I was about to get the jingle played up now, and I forgot where it is. Fuck again. I need to be warned like 5 minutes beforehand before I do it.
We
How
didn't
did we know
there
there was
going to
gonna
be
be
an
an
internet
internet
ghost
ghost?
joining us.
Editor, if you hear that weird noise, like turn it up a bit, because I don't know what the fuck it was. Put me off either way. Okay, is that it, Pen?
I also saw the trailer for the Forever Purge.
The what?
The Forever Purge. It's the new Purge movie.
The Forever.
Don't know how I feel about it.
Oh, that's the one with the cowboy, right? With the cowboy hats and shit.
I think so.
Well, you saw the trailer. What do you mean you think so?
I saw the
I
poster.
can't remember if they had cowboy hats.
Okay, so
It was... See, I thought like... Because it's the Forever Purge, right? So
yeah.
it's just all apocalyptic and completely lawless. But I was like, how does that work?
And they're all on horses?
No.
What the fuck poster did I see then? I saw a poster with a guy and a horse.
There might have been a guy, but I don't... It wasn't a thing. They were just... It was just normal. Well, not normal, because everyone's trying to murder each other.
Okay.
It wasn't a very good trailer because I didn't really... It made it look like the government have just gone, fuck it, just crime's legal all the time. And then society is collapsing, but that doesn't really make any
Sounds
sense.
worryingly familiar, though, don't it?
So yeah, I was going to say, sounds realistic.
Yeah. So I'll watch it. Don't know if it'll be any good. And I also watched the trailer for the Escape Room Tournaments of Champions, which I am excited for.
Which I need to catch up on, yes.
I love an escape room.
The sequel was good. It looks like, as the name would suggest, the people that survived the last escape room and a bunch of other people that survived previous escape rooms are now all escaping rooms again together.
Great. It's a company picnic. Lovely.
I'm also really annoyed that I found out today the new Scream movie is not going to be called Scream 5. It's just going to be called Scream, which has made me irrationally angry.
Is it going to be Scream, but the S is a 5?
Nope.
What a bullshit marketing ploy they've missed.
Yes!
That would have been genius.
It's just called Scream. I'm like, but it's not a reboot and not my movie.
It's not even called like Scream Harder or
No.
Scream with a vengeance.
Scream with a Vengeance. No?
Nope.
Scream Electric Boogaloo.
That's true.
I wish it was. It's not. It can't be just Scream. That's already the movie.
Wow. You sound like a very, very,
I'm really cross about it.
very much an internet nerd going, it can't be called Scream. I'm not happy
It
with
can't,
this.
no!
They're taking away my film.
I'm going to post
No,
my
I'm not saying
comments on
that
Reddit
because-
and tell everyone about it.
No, because Reddit hates us.
Yeah, join the clan.
It just doesn't make any sense to me if it's supposed to be the 5th in the series. That's like having Toy Story
It's a
1,
reboot.
Toy Story 2,
It's a
Toy
reboot.
Story... It's not a reboot.
Yeah, well, it obviously is if they're calling it Scream.
It isn't. It's got all the original cast and stuff in it. It's carrying
but you do
on.
know that people are born in between the last Scream and the Scream that is coming out. Which
But it's not a
flies-
reboot.
Okay, so...
It's like having Toy Story 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Toy Story again. Doesn't make any sense.
I mean, they will do it one day. And one day
Pixar
we'll
will
get
do
that
anything
Toy
to
Story.
it.
Yeah, they'll do that Toy Story reboot. I know they will one day.
Yeah, they will milk that cow dry.
Ugh. But yeah, there you go. That's my horror update for you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, good.
What's your favorite movie?
I tell people it's Eternal Sunshine, but it's Pitch Perfect too.
TV show?
Sabrina,
Favorite snack?
Triple Berry Gushers.
Who's your biggest crush?
The Booker Hooker. Shake, bitches.
I had a sad week. Well, I kind of had a happy week towards the end, so yay. Okay. I want to talk about this documentary. Because I know I sent you guys something. I'm, again, not gonna spoil it or talk about it too much, but I need to get it off my chest because it's been sat on it for a while. And I watched a documentary made in Romania. And it's technically like a 2019 documentary, but it came out in the rest of the world towards the end of 2020. So I'm fucking counting it as a 2021 film for reasons that I'll say in a minute why I will. Because I think it needs to be...
Because he wants it to be his movie of the year.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I honestly thought Promising Young Woman was my film of the year, but I don't know how I can't recommend this to everyone with a very, 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 very like obvious trigger warning, you know, just huge warning with this film. This film called Collective, it is in Romanian, as I said, subtitles, whatever, but it's in Romanian. It's dark as fuck, and it is really, really unpleasant to watch at times. But I will describe the premise of it, and the only thing I can say is that it was incredibly shocking. It is a true story, obviously, but it was incredibly shocking. But at the same time, I know people can be sensitive to certain things, so you need to go into this with a bit of a trigger warning, is all I will say. That's all. Okay. So, the film is about a fire that happened, I think, all the way back in October 2015. There was a gig in Romania with a rock band, can't remember the rock band, and the club was called Collective. And a fire breaks out because a person in the crowd, for some reason, lit a firework, and it went up into the ceiling, and it wasn't fireproof, the ceiling, and the whole thing...
Wasn't it kind of a lot of the club, this is just from what I remember when it happened, like
Yeah.
made of like fabric.
Yeah.
Like not only was it not fireproof, it was like there was banners and curtains and shit everywhere.
Yeah, it's one of those where you would have curtains on the side walls, sort of club. Like
Yeah,
just,
so like extra flammable.
yeah, very extra flammable. But also, yeah, when you do see the actual footage of what happens in the club in this film very early on, it does feel like there is some sort of, like I said, fabric at the top where the lights are as well. It's very strange they had it the way it was. And so a fire breaks out, and there's about 100 or up to 200 people in this club. They try to get out of it. The band also try to run out. I think they actually were able to get out. But 27 people died and 180 were injured during this fire. One of the main reasons was there was no fire exits at all in this club.
Which is fucking nuts, isn't it?
So from what you see in this documentary, they all just run through the one entrance. They could only go out. They could have gone, I think some of them tried to go backstage, but a majority of them just legged it 200 people.
I was going to say, is that not how the band got out? Like, if you got, like, the back of the stage?
They went to the back, but the things you see in this, like, it happens so quick. I can't imagine anyone had the brain power to kind of think and just go, right, let's go backstage. It's much easier. Like, it was more of like a panic, and it happened so quick. And it just, when you watch it, and you can feel that kind of fear that people are feeling in that, because it is just an amateur. It's actually a photographer who was there with a professional camera who was filming it in the crowd, and then you just see this gulf of fucking flames, and it is terrifying.
I think it took about 2 minutes for the whole place to be fully on fire.
Yeah.
It's so quick. It's incredible. Like, by the time the lead singer says, I think there's a fire up there, the roof is already on fucking fire. Like, it's already covered in fire. You think, like, oh, we need to get a fire extinguisher, and they leg it, and that's it. Yeah, so I originally thought this documentary, I didn't read too much into it, but I originally thought that's what it was just about. I thought it was about this fire at the club and why there wasn't fire exits, investigating, you know, why this happened and all that kind of thing. And it wasn't. It was something else entirely. That's just the start of it. It's actually to do with what happened afterwards. So you had 180 people injured, and then over the following months, 37 of them injured died in hospital. Now, the main question with this is they're alive, they got burnt, maybe they had, you know, limbs burned and stuff, but they got out and they were alive. Why did these 37 people die after being in hospital for, you know, months after the fire? It just seems very odd that this would happen. And that the Romanian government said this was a horrible tragedy. We're going to give them the best care, as best as Germany has, because Germany has apparently the best healthcare. Yeah, so we're going to give them the best healthcare. This was a tragic event and everything. So these people die. The family members start questioning why this was happening, because they seemed fine when, like, they were burnt, but they seemed okay. And then suddenly...
Oh, so it wasn't like they succumbed to they were really badly burned and they like succumbed to their injuries. They were just
in hospital. 37 of them died. I mean, some of them, as I said, were more burnt than others, but there's one person in this particular one that said he was comparing to someone who was alive, who was in that fire, in that concert, and he had a son who died in the hospital, and he looked at this person's burns and went, my son's burns were less, you know, damaging than hers. Why did he die? And he starts questioning, like, all these things, and it's just sends you on this roller coaster of, like, what the fuck is going on? And it is an inquest into what's happened to those 37 people who are in that hospital. And again, I don't want to spoil the bigger story here, and I really probably won't go into it, because again, it is a very, very depressing trigger warning film, and it's not for the faint of heart. But I felt so fucking angry watching this film. Like, I've never felt that angry watching something in all my life. I find it hard to believe that is it, the thing that happens, and the things you find out to these 37 people, it is an actual thing that happens. Yeah. To give you some idea, Romania is not the greatest government in the world. Let's just put it that way. And what is kind of shown in this documentary is something beyond anyone's kind of expectations. It mainly follows around a Romanian journalist trying to figure out what happened, and then you see them putting the pieces together, printing the newspaper. Funny enough, the fucking newspaper that is doing this story, or the cameras are following around, they are breaking all the biggest news. They also broke the news about the 37 people who died. They're a sports newspaper.
That's weird.
The Gazette Sports. They are the ones breaking the biggest news in Romania and have the best journalist is a sports newspaper. And I was just like, wow. It's truly fascinating. Again, I will keep saying this. It is really hard to watch. At one point, I remember sending you guys a text. At one point, I nearly threw up. Like, I'm being genuine. I nearly threw up at one point. I really hope people watch this because it's super important. I do. As much as I'm saying don't watch it. You have to watch it because it's so important that people do watch this and realize how fucked up people can be to each other and how horrible people, the extent that people can go to fucking ruin people's lives to a degree that I didn't even think was possible. So, Collective, it's my film of the year. I can't say it's my film of the year. I don't think anything will beat it. There's not, like, it's just so...
You've said that 3 times this year already.
I know. I thought it was The Overnighters. No, well, The Overnighters is no film, but Promising Young Woman was my film of the year. But this is too... It's too important. Like, I can't say, this action film will beat it. This is too important to not recommend and shout from the rooftops. No one's watched this. I know no one's watched it. No one has seen it. And I can't understand why no one has seen it. Because it's fucking incredible. And it should be talked about everywhere. Netflix, pick it up, please. Like, I guarantee if Netflix picked it up...
Could you imagine if Netflix picked it up and, like, everyone was talking about it?
If Netflix picked it up, I will guarantee you right now that it will be the most talked about documentary within a week. I guarantee you. It's also amazingly filmed. There's no music in it. There's 0 music tracks in it. It's just footage of people...
I say, but that's really unnerving.
Yeah,
it's extremely unnerving. It's silence and people talking. There's no fancy transitions. It's just like a fly in the wall documentary of you're sat there looking at what's happening and unfolding in real time, and it just fills you with just fucking dread, and it's just unbelievable. But yeah, watch it, please. Collective, it's incredible. I think HBO Europe made it, so there you go. You can probably find it on HBO Max, but I don't think it's on Netflix. It might be on Amazon, but do watch it. It is insane. Andy.
Cheer us up.
Sorry about that.
Ooh, well, that was bleak, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know, but I had to.
Oh, God, and now you've left it to Bleak Sad Boy, and I don't know what he's got.
Hello. You'll be happy to know I've watched a couple of things. Carrying on with Dan's trend of shit video game films, I watched DOA. Dead or Alive.
He sent me a text last night going, I'm watching Dead or Alive, and I was like, what the fucking Holly Valance film? Really? Jesus. How was it?
Fucking dreadful.
Really?
So Dead or Alive is a video game beat 'em up series, but they were known for having like mechanics where you could move tits around.
Tits.
Boob
Yeah,
physics.
so like
boob physics.
Their whole brand is built around the physics on breasts. And this film follows that pretty
Japan,
accurately.
Everyone.
Yeah. As a spin-off of the game, they also did Dead or Alive Volleyball, and there's a full 10-minute scene where they're playing volleyball in just very short bikinis and stuff, which, you know, it's fun to watch. But so that was that. I did learn that Devon Aoki is Steve Aoki's sister. You know, the DJ?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Didn't know that. That was the highlight of watching it. That's what I learned. So that was good.
That was the highlight, that someone was Steve Aoki's sister.
Yeah, it was just a terrible film.
I'm not surprised, Andy. It's Dead or Alive.
The plot is they go to some islands to compete in like a fighting tournament, and then it just escalates and all the women team up together and try and take everyone else on, and it's like, okay. It's not particularly good action, it's not particularly well written, it's not fun. It's just boob physics. That's all it is.
I wonder what Holly Valance is doing now. I assume Dead or Alive, this is not a new film.
2006.
Yeah, I wonder what she's doing now. I mean, I don't care enough to look.
Well, I did have a look, but I couldn't find anything of any worth.
Oh. Did she go out one of the guys from Westlife? I imagine that. Was that her? Did she like break up Kerry Katona and Westlife?
That was Delta Goodrum, wasn't it? Her and Brian McFadden.
Turned into a fucking music podcast.
Gossip podcast.
Gossip podcast, yeah, more or less. Fuck it up.
I also watched the full franchise, possibly one of the greatest, most underrated franchises of the last 10 years. I watched the Expendables trilogy.
Great. How was that?
And it was fantastic.
Yeah, I guess so. You'd like it anyway.
It's just ridiculous fun. Like, I've had a week of not sleeping at all. I've had maybe 15 hours since last Tuesday.
Andy, there's
What?
times when I text
Yes,
you,
not good.
and at one point, and this was like weeks ago, it was like 4 a.m, and you said something along the lines of, I'm just going to put a film on now. And I can't remember what it was, but I think it was something out of the hat probably. But I think you watched something at 4 a.m. on a Wednesday or something. So, like,
What's your point?
I'm saying, sleeping wise, it just hasn't been just the 1 week. I'm just saying.
Well, no. I mean, it's obviously been...
No, but his sleep
years.
is bad, but it's worse than usual.
It's worse at the moment than it has been for a while.
Okay, fair enough.
So I had plenty of time to kill, essentially, before I turn into fucking Tyler Durden. So yeah, the Expendables. So, I mean, it has just got a whole host of, like, 90s action stars. Between the three films, it's got, like, obviously Stallone and Jet Li and Jason Statham, Dolph Lundgren, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, Harrison Ford is in it, Antonio Banderas. And they just progressively get more and more absurd. Like, the first one is them trying to overtake, or like trying to start a coup and take out a government, and the second one is them trying to get revenge on someone else, and the third one is similar. But there comes a point in every single one where you're like, how can they just warrant spending the next half hour blowing shit up?
Because they're old men. It's old retired men in a action movie who they're trying to live their action young lives in because they can't get work in other big budgeted action films, so they decided to make their own. That's
You say
what
that.
The Expendables is.
You say that, but that it has kick-started careers again. Like, Statham went
Who's-
off the grid, did the Expendables, came back and is doing more
Oh,
stuff.
Statham's always fine. Statham's been there since...
Stallone disappeared for a while, did the Expendables, and started coming back with
It's
other stuff like the
Stallone.
next Rocky.
He's never
Yeah, but my
been
point
off
is,
the
they
grid.
they disappear for like a decade or so. They do
Yes.
absolute bullshit, and they come back and do other stuff.
I'm not saying that Expendables is absolute bullshit, but I'm not entirely saying Expendables is an Oscar-winning performance kind of
Didn't
film.
say
you know?
didn't say it was Oscar worthy. What I'm saying is, because it's such a high acclaim and it's got just magnetic actors in it. Like, I would quite happily go out for a pint with any of them. The more I see of Dolph Lundgren, the more I want to hang out with him.
You don't want to go with Bruce Willis, though.
No, Bruce Willis is a prick.
Hey,
I'm not interested in hanging
Remember
with him.
Johnny Mnemonic and that whole God thing that you were part of? What was that about?
Yeah, it just seems fun.
Yeah.
But they make like a lot of like in references to other things. So like they reference each other's characters' catchphrases. Arnie turns up and he's like, "Get to the chopper," and stuff like that. Lundgren is like a biochemist. It's just fucking genius. Like, it's all...
He's got
it's,
so much range. This is all I'm learning about Dolph Lundgren.
Well, he is a biochemist, like... Or he's like some sort of engineer. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, like, let's make it into a movie podcast like Dexter Holland from The Offspring.
Oh, no. He's way smarter than Dexter Holland.
Oh, sorry, Dexter.
Can he fly a plane, though?
Probably.
Dexter's a biochemist. Maybe. I can't remember. But he also can fly a plane.
But is he a doctor?
Like a proper plane.
The Unusual Music Podcast.
You started it with the intro.
And it's just carried on.
So because it's like referential to other things and other films, it's quite meta, and it knows it's taking the piss out of itself and the cast, which is
I get that. Yeah.
pretty fun.
Yeah, I get it. But, like, the demographic for this film...
At no
is-
point am I saying it's like Oscar worthy or
No,
highbrow.
I'm not saying
because
it's-
it's not. It's just the sort of shit you stick on in the background at 4 a.m. when you can't sleep on a Tuesday morning, and that's a good thing.
Great. But they also have made how many of these?
3. Fourth one is allegedly in production due to film at the end of the year.
So 4 of them.
Well, no, they've made 3.
Yeah, so
There's
fourth
a
is
fourth
coming.
one in production.
So they obviously are taking it seriously, let's put it that way, by making
Does
4
anyone
of
have the
them.
budget? Because all of these old action people, I assume, want a fair bit of money these days.
Yeah, the budget for the first one was 80 million. Second one was 100 million.
80?
Yeah.
Damn.
Do you know what it made, box office?
$1 billion at this rate.
275 million.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Second one was 100 million, made 315. The budget for the third one was
I think the point I'm trying to get at, right, is...
90 to 100,
while-
made 215.
While you name off numbers and motorways up the background there. The point is, like, I get it, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. Like, the way I see it is that is Sylvester or whoever's I think Sylvester is one of the lead producers, right? Is it Sylvester? And
yeah, he produced it, he wrote and directed the second one. I think he wrote all of them.
Him and his mates getting together with the lads, shooting a film.
Like an Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, you say this like other people don't do it. That's exactly what Adam Sandler does. It's what Kevin Smith has done for the last 20 years.
I haven't even... Oh my God, let me speak. Fucking hell.
Better not talk about Seth Rogen either, because he's done that with all of his mates.
Yeah, I would exactly say the same thing about his films as well. Let me get to it. Is that it's fine, but the way I see the Expendables is, and I know a lot of people feel the same, is that it's just an excuse for them to get back into that role of when they were 20 years younger and stuff, which is fine. I'm absolutely fine with that. But I can't get it out of my head that there's a bunch of old dudes who are trying to act like they're 20 years younger in now what is nearly 4 films. And
yeah, but isn't Harrison Ford doing that in Indiana Jones in the new one?
And they suck. The last one sucked. And same with Star Wars when they try to fucking plug all the old guys in there. And it's just like, we get it. Nostalgia.
The power of nostalgia.
But that's why they make such a fuck ton of money, is because they bring in like names that people remember from their youth.
I know, but I'm just talking about... I'm not talking about money, and I'm not talking about...
I paid money for Jay and Silent Bob the reboot, or whatever it's called.
Great. I'm not talking about money, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about, like, you know, when we get mad, and the majority of us get mad at Disney reboots and bringing back stuff that Disney do, and, like, you know, reboots of certain things, like, why did they need to reboot that? Mostly Disney. It's kind of like, well... why don't we do something else?
Is it that, or is it you just don't like people having funs with their friends?
Yeah, do we need another bleak fucking documentary about some poor prick who touched a child? Like, we don't need another one of those. They still fucking happen. Do you know what I mean? You don't need anything.
Everything's irrelevant. We're all going to die of climate change.
If we're talking about needs, the cinema and the film industry shouldn't exist at all, because it's not needed. It doesn't bring anything. There's no fucking wealth or warmth.
They're not good films, is what I'm saying.
The only reason it's there is because people want it.
I don't think Expendables is good.
That's fine. You don't need to.
I didn't fucking say I thought it was good either. I said it was fun. I didn't say it was good.
That's not fun either.
There's some fucking dreadful parts of it.
We said it was fantastic.
Okay. But...
we also have to take Dan with a pinch of salt because he thinks the first Harry Potter shouldn't exist.
Yeah,
because
do you know
Origins.
what I mean?
It shouldn't.
I can't believe I'm the one having to fucking... like, I'm the criminal here.
Andy, I'm not having a go, love. Calm down. I'm just discussing the fact that, you know, they're not that great. And you're saying... they're no,
when it's the first film that Wesley Snipes was in after he was arrested for tax evasion, and they ask where he's been, and he says, I was in prison for tax evasion, and it makes a reference to him actually being arrested in real life. That's funny shit, man. That's the good stuff.
Right. Okay. Blade wasn't that good either.
What? Get out. Get out.
Okay. The first one, all right. Second one,
First one's amazing.
3, no.
I like the second one.
3's
not good. Second one's not as bad as you think.
I like the third one. The third one might be my favourite because it's got Ryan Reynolds in it. So.
See, second one's good because it's got Norman Reedus in it.
I like that Dan's being smug because he's like, oh, it shows his taste because he likes the world with the right. I mean, next week I'll bring another fucking depressing film. How about that?
So to be the advocate, I can see both sides, but I think the problem is Dan.
This is not a debate.
It is now.
You've turned this into a courtroom session. Penny's suddenly come along with a fucking hammer going, order.
Being the judge. I think it's when you say that we don't need it. We don't need anything.
No, I'm happy that Andy enjoys the film. But because this is a podcast with differing opinions, and I know that not everyone will agree with us, and sometimes there'll be different people with different opinions on things we talk about, like if everyone said that Drive was excellent, right? Wink. It's good to have someone else that didn't like Drive, for example, Penny, because I know there are some people out there who don't enjoy Drive. I, being the podcast host that I am just being that other person who says, nah, they're shit, mate. So therefore, creating conversation and therefore creating a podcast with actual content, wink, guys, is why I'm doing this.
Sausages.
Does
it help that I haven't seen any of them?
Absolutely not.
Well, it depends whose opinion you hold in high regard, mine or Dan's.
Yeah, that's a good question.
You wouldn't like it because it's an action film.
I don't mind action films. It sounds funny.
If we put a gun to your head, whose opinion would you trust?
About what?
Would you rather trust Andy or Dan?
I trust Andy because, one, I've played Among Us with you, and two, you've golden ballsed Andy. So in that case, I would trust Andy more. Sneaky fuck.
It was a board game. You're basing your decision off a board game.
We've still not met in real life. I need to meet you, and then we'll know.
There's no truer emotions.
I was playing to win the game.
Yeah.
Therefore, I was thinking.
And are you trying to win at the game of life, Dan?
Oh, fuck off. I'm trying to win the game of life. What is this? Jesus fucking Christ.
Anyway, The Expendables is the last hurrah for a lot of action stars from the 90s. So if that's your vibe, if you like Demolition Man or whatever. The one person who's not in it that I would have liked to see it is Kurt Russell. But aside from that...
Oh, yeah.
Is he not in it? In one of them?
No.
Oh,
no.
I would have thought he was.
He's not.
I'm thinking of fucking... Is it in Chuck Norris? Isn't he in one of them?
Chuck Norris is in the second one, yeah.
Second one, yeah, that's it, yeah.
Imagine if Dan had suddenly got the two... We've had this whole
Got
argument
the
and
wrong
Dan's actually
film.
thinking of different films.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh no, I fucking love The Expendables.
Which one's your favourite, Andy?
Um,
Not the first one. They don't need it.
I don't know. The third one is my least favourite, I think, because it's got like new blood in it. Young kids like Ronda Rousey, who's in it for some reason. The first or the second? Let's go for the first one.
The first one, okay.
Dan, what's your favourite one?
4.
The bleakest one,
I was going to
imagine.
say, if you pick two, then I can create content
It's
by
when
picking the third one.
Sylvester Stallone finds a new buddy called Forky. He goes off, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger gets jealous that he's going off with Forky. And it lost its true meaning of its story from the original, and that's why I like 4 the best. Anyway, guys, are we all done?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Excellent.
We've milked this cow enough. That's the second time I've mentioned milking a cow today.
Yeah.
Oh, milky goodness.
You know him? Yeah, we used to be on the same team together. What's my oldest worst friend doing here?
Both your names came to the top of the list. Is that a problem?
Yeah, should have shot him when I had a chance.
Big Barney Ross.
Bigger Trent Mouse.
What are you doing? Praying for Brooke?
Could be.
Have you been sick? You lost weight?
Really? Now, whatever weight I lost, you found, pal.
You guys aren't gonna start sucking each other's dicks, are you?
Film out of the hat this week was Dan's choice, which was the Spanish film from Argentina, Wild Tales, which came out all the way in 2014. It's probably got no one you recognize in it, except who's the one guy that was in this that I kind of was like, is it Pedro Calbalillo? No, he's a producer. Anyway, forget I said that. Probably won't recognize anyone because it is a foreign film.
Unless you're Spanish. Hi, Spanish listeners.
Hi, Spanish listeners? I don't think we have any. That's all. I checked the analytics.
I don't know. We've got lots of like less than 1% in a bunch of countries. So.
Yeah. Hi, one Spanish person.
Probably just people using proxies, isn't it?
Thanks, proxies. Keeping the show alive. Thank you. This is an anthology film with 6 standalone shorts, all written and directed by Damien Sifron, and it follows a common theme of violence and vengeance. Shall we go through each one, and then we'll pick our favourite, I guess?
Yeah.
Let's start with the first one. By the way, this was shot in 8 weeks, the entire film. Pretty impressive for it. I mean, I know it's an anthology and it kind of takes place in one particular location, I guess, each of the stories, but...
What, Spain?
I don't know if it was Spain or Argentina. I don't know. I guess whichever. Somewhere in South America, maybe. Okay, let's begin. So we're starting off this with our first story, technically, even though it's just kind of like an intro story, which is called Paternak.
Pasternak.
No, it's called Paternak, because I made sure I got the pronunciation right. So when they were talking about Gabriel Paternak, that's how they pronounce it. So I know it looks like Pasternak, but it's not.
Oh, get to the fucking point, you fucking pedant. Jesus Christ.
I'm really enjoying pissing Andy off. It's actually quite nice too.
I haven't slept enough.
I can fucking tell.
Yeah.
So, Pasternak is, it starts off with a woman who's checking in her bags at an airport, and she says to the person at check-in desk, "My ticket was paid for by a company. Can I get air miles?" Which I thought was a cheeky way of fucking getting air miles. I would have never done that because you're not supposed to do that.
It works though.
Expenses, though, you can claim for, but not fucking air miles, all right? Stop being cheeky with it.
I've never had a job where that's an option, so...
I've definitely claimed air miles on
Have you?
expensed flights, yeah.
Oh, Andy. You shouldn't probably admit this on the fucking podcast.
Dan just doesn't have the balls.
One of the perks, isn't it? Just bleep it out.
Just beep. Anyway, she's talking about how her ticket was being paid for by a company. It's important later. So she gets on the plane, and a man next to her on the plane is asking the woman about her. I don't know if he was being flirtatious or he liked the look of her or something, but I think it was being a little bit like, hey, what's up there? You know.
My first note just says no one wants you to talk to them when you're on a plane.
Yeah, that too. Like, I never want the person anywhere near me.
I have had people talk to me, like, because I travel on my own a lot, and I have had it, but yeah, no one wants that.
The worst is when you're in a window seat and they're in the middle. And so you have to, like, if you want to go and leave or walk around, you have to get past them first or something.
I ended up chatting to a guy at an airport because we were delayed. And then we obviously were on the same plane. And then the plane was delayed. And then he managed to swap his seat so he could sit next to me and carry on to me on the plane.
How long?
Did you put headphones in immediately?
That's a good idea, actually.
No, I should have. Well, cause I was fine chatting to him sitting at the airport. It wasn't very far. I was going from Chicago to New York, so it wasn't very far. But it was just awkward. And he was American, and I gave him like a 50p and some UK money, and he was very excited.
You gave him some... Wait, sorry. You gave him some money on a plane. Like some... Can I spare some change? Like he was doing a performance and you give him some money.
Never
like
seen
a peasant.
English money.
Like a...
Penny, he's just robbed you. That's what he's done. He's essentially picked
of
your
like
pocket.
74p.
Can I have 50p for the machine?
Yeah, then he gave me his business card, and then I immediately threw it in the bin and ran away.
Okay. Well, that's nice to know. Anyway, so the man next to her on the plane is asking about the woman. What does she do in life and stuff? And she says she's a model. She asks the same thing to this guy. And he says he's a music critic from the classical genre of music. She then explains to him that her old boyfriend is also into classical music, but he's not famous. And he submitted a bunch of stuff and never got published or anything like that. However, this man asks her what was his name. And she goes to explain that it's Pasternak, for Andy's sake. Pasternak. Gabrielle Pasternak. And he starts to look a little bit like, what the fuck, on his face. This must be a day in the life of Fantastic. He explains he reviewed him and remembers the name very well. The only reason he remembers the name very well is because he ripped into it, and so did a bunch of people he worked with. It was fucking awful, apparently, the music. It was the worst thing he ever heard. Like, it was just bad. That's the only reason he remembers it. Then, a woman in the front seat says, he was my student at elementary school. But she held him back because that boy had issues. And then a man nearby says he was a classmate in that school. And then we get the depot manager behind them saying he had to let Gabrielle go because he was a psycho.
Before that, sorry, I've written like, her ex was his student, and then I've put, what is this Final Destination bullshit? They're all going to die.
Yeah.
But the music critic starts to put the pieces together a little bit, and then he asks everyone on the plane, standing up and asking everyone on the plane, how did you all get these tickets? Did you all pay for them? And they all respond pretty much by saying, no, they got sent to me. I won them in a raffle. Either a company paid for them. I can't remember the other excuses, but yeah, they pretty much all got sent these tickets for free. Now, the interesting thing I want to point out, I don't know if guys noticed, but as this is all playing out in the background, you see Gabrielle going into the cockpit. I think
He's mad.
Very early on, but you can actually see the face of the guy going into the cockpit. And then while they're all talking about this, you see in the background everything playing out with the stewardess, like getting worried. You hear the knocking on the door and it gets louder and louder as they start to realize things as well. It's really fucking well played out in the background, especially and stuff like that. So the stewardess at this point, when the music critic kind of notices that everyone didn't pay for their ticket, she's knocking on the door. She can't get in. And she turns around and says, Gabrielle is the cabin chief on this flight. And he has locked himself inside with the pilots.
Dun, dun.
He asked me out once. I refused. And I don't think he's been the same ever since.
Gabriel is an angry, angry man.
He's not happy. He starts to take control of the plane and pretty much heading towards the ground at this point. Everyone's screaming. Victor, his psychiatrist, is there. He explains to another guy that he raised his fees. And that's why Gabrielle got mad at him and stopped going to his place. Starts banging on the door saying, you're not the victim here. It's your parents' fault. Open the door, open the door. And then the final shot is an old couple in the garden as they see a plane just above them, not taking much notice of it at first, but then they start to realize, especially man, the plane seems to be coming closer and closer and closer and closer to them. And then the final shot we get is them just about being wiped out by a fucking Boeing 747 or something. So pretty much.
Pretty good.
It's pretty fucking impressive, all that planning and shit, isn't it, to get
He must have been
all
fucking
those people.
minted.
He's probably saved up for a while. If you're that mad that you're gonna...
Oh, get them
like-
all on the plane and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like, how many people do you reckon run that plane? Ish.
60, 70?
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not called Petty Bennett for no reason, but, like, to find 70 people I'm mad enough to die over by crashing a plane, there's a lot of people.
It's that whole thing of, if you're going to take me down, I'm taking you down with me, essentially.
Yeah, but I can't think of 70 people that I'd be that pissed at.
I can think of 70 people, but not people who know me.
Not people I have any contact with anymore, kind of thing, yeah.
Well, no, just people that, don't know how much I dislike
That guy
them.
that cut me up at the roundabout, or...
Yeah.
What's interesting about this is actually in the credits, the two old people who get hit last are credited as Gabrielle's parents.
I assume that it were.
Yeah. So when
I was like, to then get the plane in the right place.
Yeah. Especially when the psychiatrist goes, it was your parents' fault, you're the victim. The last person he kills is the parents, obviously. And
it was impressive.
Yeah, I like that as an opening. I think it's a good opening. It's not too long. All these kind of go longer as we go along. But yeah, this one is pretty straightforward. But I like it. It's pretty good for an opening. Main credits, we get each cast member represented by an animal, which is quite funny. And then we get to our second story, The Rats, which is about essentially a woman who's working at a restaurant diner, and a loan shark comes in to the restaurant by the highway, and the waitress notices who this person is. This is the man who years before ruined her family and caused her father's untimely death because I think he took away his house, or basically bankrupted the dad and stuff, and he ends up killing himself. So she starts to take his order. Eggs on chips. How do you feel about that, Andy?
Honestly, I've written, what a waste of eggs and chips.
I knew you would have a problem with
But also, who has that as a meal?
is that a delicacy in
I've
South
never
America?
seen it on a menu
I've never seen it ever.
Spain.
But you live in a seaside town. It's all over the seafront in Southend. Egg and chips is a thing.
Like, but put the egg on the chips, not egg by the chips. Like your fry up.
I think that's just how she presented it. He just asked her for egg and chips. I think that's just how she played it
Also,
up.
the way she slammed that plate down.
I love how Andy's found some second wind as soon as they talk about food.
The way she slams that plate down, she's not getting a tip.
Yeah, she knows who he is, though. That's the thing. She recognizes who he is, and it's like, fuck this guy kind of thing.
I just think it was a little bit dry. I think it could have had, maybe something to go with. Maybe beans. Beans, chips and egg. Perfect.
Are we really
Egg and
discussing
chips?
a fictional man's choice of dinner in a short story?
Yes.
I knew it would get some comments. That's the reason I brought it up first. So either way. Okay. Anyway, so he orders a plate of food. But in the meantime, as this waitress is going back and forth between the kitchen, she's talking to the cook. And the cook basically is very upfront with offering rat poison to mix in the man's food because she doesn't want the waitress to feel like has to serve this man and like be nice to him and stuff. She's like, just give him rat poison. Here you go. Just murder him. No one's going to find out. It's fine.
I went to prison. Wasn't that bad.
Exactly. Prison's not so bad. You get free rent, free food, all that kind of stuff. Which we then find out that the cook has actually been to prison, so this isn't her first rodeo, essentially. I really like the way they say Coca Light or Diet Coke. Coca Light.
Coca Light.
I love it. I might call it Coca Light anymore now. Coca Light. Sorry. I just really like the way they say it. So the cook ends up making the food. Waitress has no idea that the cook has secretly put the rat poison in without telling her. She then notices in the sink that there is, rat poison particles or something in the sink. I'm not really sure how she knows. She just goes to the sink and she notices it. And she gets really mad because now the guy is about to eat the rat poison. The cook says, don't worry, his heart will just explode or whatever. No one's going to find out. Who's going to, he's a mobster. Who's going to care if this guy dies? But she starts getting worried that she thinks the rat poison might be out of date. She doesn't even know if rat poison has an actual out of date. I think it does, actually, if I'm thinking correctly.
It does raise a good question, though. Does out of date rat poison, is it
worse?
more harmful or less harmful?
I would have thought it'd be
I would say less.
It'd still have the same effect, maybe. Like, what you're going to do is just, you're trying to kill it.
The chemicals would degrade and it wouldn't be as chemically. So I would think less.
That's what I would have thought.
Fair enough. She's about to go and maybe change her mind about or try to distract the man, and she keeps going back and forth with him, trying to like say, oh, I'll heat up your food, don't worry. He's like, no, go away, leave me alone, Jesus Christ, you're annoying me, kind of thing. A bus pulls up, young man comes out, and he meets what supposedly is the teenage son of this guy, and he starts to share his father's meal. This time the waitress is like, oh no, we can't let the boy eat it, I don't want him to die, even if this guy dies I want the boy to die.
Yeah, because then you have to start hiding bodies and stuff, and it's more complicated, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the exact reason.
My reason.
That's Penny's psychotic reason. It's hard to hide the bodies.
Makes sense, though.
Thank you.
Sure. The waitress tries to take the plate away. The man attacks her after she throws food in his face to kind of distract him. And while he's grabbing the waitress, the cook comes up behind him and kills him with a chef's knife by saying things like, I'll gut you like a chicken, and stabbing the fuck out of this guy. No remorse, no nothing, in front of the kids.
I mean, she was literally looking for any reason.
Yes, pretty much. It was more her who wanted it.
Before it was like you could poison him and his heart would explode and maybe it'd be a heart attack, and no one really noticed. Now you're like, no, I've just fucking stabbed him in front of his kids. So now, she's made it more complicated, but she gives no fucks.
It's now self-defense.
True.
I know, like, a lot of people seen this film, a lot of people say that this is the weakest one, but I also find it interesting, like, if you take it, for example, she's looking for any excuse to go back to prison because of the way she talked about it, like it being rent-free, you don't have to do anything, you get free food, and she sat in, like, a lonely diner cooking food, in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Kicking fucking fried egg and chips.
Fried egg and chips.
What the fuck is that?
Why is your problem with egg and chips?
Move on.
It's just weird, man.
So the last, he ends up getting killed, and in a pool of blood, the boy ends up throwing up after seeing what happened to his dad.
Is that why, or was it not the poison?
Poison.
Well,
because
poison...
the problem I had with this one is that the man ate a lot of egg and chips and nothing happened.
Yes.
But then the boy ate like 3 chips, and then before it all goes a bit wrong, he's like, I don't feel very well.
Yes.
And then the whole thing with the women's house. So I'm like, so the poison's working, but why isn't it working?
How do you know it's not? No. How do you know it's working? Because he just came off a bus. He could have been like a bit road sick or something.
It wasn't very clear.
He could have just thrown up because he was on a long trip or something. Like, it doesn't, like, the whole point of it is like, you don't know the answer. Was the poison in date?
Yes.
Was it? You're just kind of left to know if it's a mystery. But in the end, the guy dies anyway, pretty much. And the cook ends up going to jail, pretty much. So, yeah, we get the last scene that they're all outside and the cook being arrested and driven away by a police car, which nicely goes into the next story as we see a very fast Audi in the background speeding along as we get the next story called The Strongest, which features Diago, who's driving through the desert. And he is a very well-dressed man, I would say. Very much an Audi driver, would you say, Andy?
Yes. He looks like every Audi driver I've ever seen. Fucking obnoxious.
Just Spanish or Argentinian, whatever.
There's one exception to the Audi driving rule.
What?
And that's someone we know quite often wears Toy Story pajamas.
Yes, that's true, yes.
And drives an Audi.
He used to.
Used to drive an Audi. Not anymore. Hi, mate. So Diago, he's driving through the desert, and eventually he comes up behind a very slower, older car that is constantly blocking his path. Now, it's not really blocking his path. There is a way he can overtake him.
Fucking massive road in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Like, there is 2 lanes, technically, and there was no one coming. He could have done it easily, but because he is an Audi driver, he's just been very aggressive with the whole thing, let's be honest. And he starts beeping, saying, get off the road, trying to get this guy to move. He overtakes him on the other side of the road, puts his middle finger up to him, insults the driver, called Mario, by the way. And further up the road, Diego gets a flat tire. And it takes forever. Obviously, this is just one road just going one way. So eventually, after about 30 or 40 seconds later, Mario in his slow little car eventually catches up to the Audi driver, which has broken down. He obviously tries to take some calls, trying to get a pickup delivery. And I love the bit where he sees the car and just does the whole head scratch, quickly do the tire because he doesn't want to be embarrassed, get in the car, roll up the windows and just kind of go, hi, oh yeah, my car broke.
He's like, yeah, I know, fucking go. Tries to
weasel
wave him on.
little shit.
Yeah.
So he ends up sat in his car. Obviously, he's tried to replace the tire, but he hasn't really done it fully at this point. So he's just sat in his car. And Mario, in his smaller car, rolls up and sort of looks at him and goes, your car broke. I see. So what Mario decides to do is very cleverly drive the car in front of the car, but reverse back on it so that he can't see the number plates of his car, his slow car. And he can't make a call to the police and say, it's this number plate, come help me. He parks the car in front of Diego's and he ends up smashing the windshield. He then decides that that's not good enough. He defecates on it and urinates on it as well.
It's the driest shit I've ever seen.
It's so dry.
It's like a fucking camel, isn't it? What has he been eating?
Did not notice the moisture content of the poop.
There was no smear or anything. It was like someone just fucking dropped a pebble.
Well, no, that's good. That's
disappointing.
That's a good shit, though. That means you're healthy, you're taking good care of yourself. If it's just a solid, it's fine. If it's running...
No.
Yes.
It looked like he'd been eating hay.
I honestly didn't notice, you guys.
We took good notes on this.
Yeah.
Legit. I've got a lot of notes on this.
So he does all that kind of stuff to his car just as a revenge for sticking the middle finger up on him.
You also see his nutsack, I've just remembered. When he's taking a shit, you see his nutsack.
Okay, right. That's an important detail. Thanks. So just as Mario's about to leave after pretty much destroying a lot of Diego's car, Diego pushes him by just wheel spinning his car, even though it's not fully ready to go in a way, because he's only put, I think, 3 of the bolts on out of the 4, pushes the car in front of him, Mario's car, and off a cliff into the river, and decides to drive off by just leaving Mario.
It's kind of dumb, because at this point he has called the police.
Yes, he has called the police.
He's called the police and said there is a man attacking me, and so I suppose he did
and
say
the
he
tow
was
truck
attacking him, but
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but then I was like, he's called the police, the guy is attacking him, so I guess it is self-defense, but you've also called the police and then pushed a man off a cliff.
Well, it's the constant back and forth. This is actually probably the funniest, because it's that constant back and forth of like, oh, I'm so sorry, and then as soon as they get the opportunity, like, well, fuck you then, I'm gonna fucking do this, and it's like the two of them are just like back and forth between each other.
I personally don't know why he got back in the car in the first place, because he had a tie wrench in his hand and he could have just put the wheel on and fucking twatted him if he needed to.
I think that embarrassment, that shame of like putting on the tire himself because it was flat, he didn't want to do that. So,
I mean,
yeah,
if you've got to swap a tire, you've got to swap a tire.
Yeah, but it's more about the guy, Glass Houses. It's like he did his whole like middle finger to him. This guy is obviously like, he wouldn't do that to him face to face if he wasn't inside the car. The car is his protective shield, essentially. And this guy, in actual fact, when he's trying to be like, oh, big old tough guy, when he's actually confronted, he's a fucking scaredy little cat. He won't even grab the tire iron or whatever and like use it as self-defense. So
yeah, he's Billy Big Bollocks until he's actually confronted by Wolf Creek Man.
Exactly.
And he's like, oh,
Wolf Creek Man. Yes.
He is very Wolf Creek. Yeah.
He did give me Wolf Creek vibes.
So he pushes Mario's car off
using a green shell.
And
come on, I'm a gamer.
But the problem is that Diego realizes that Mario knows the license plate of this Audi and Diego's car. So he realizes this as he's driving away and goes, shit, I need to kill him. I need to make sure he doesn't remember the fuck, or knock him out at least. I mean, he's trying to fucking run him over, essentially. So he returns, tries to run Mario over, loses control. I think his tire goes off at this point because it's not properly on. Loses control and crashes into the river right where the other car is and lands right on top of it with his car on top of Mario's car in the same river.
I've just written, that escalated quickly.
It's great. I love this one. It's really funny in like a very violently kind of way. But Mario then enters Diego's car through the trunk because he realizes that the boot is kind of broken and it's open. So the only way he can get through, of course, is by kicking those back seats down and trying to get into the car, which he does do. Diego gets a fucking fire extinguisher and whacks over the head of Mario.
Them kind of slap fighting in the car was quite funny.
Yeah, it's just silence of... Diego eventually gets strangled by seatbelt.
That's pretty savage.
Which Mario kicks open the front door, kind of leaves him on the side of the car as he's getting strangled with the seatbelt, and you think he's going to die. He loses some air, but he quickly gets a second wind. At the same time, this bit I found so funny. the same time, Mario grabs a piece of his shirt, lights it on fire, and puts it in the fuel tank. But as he's doing it, Diego gets off the seatbelt thing and grabs him, brings him back into the car.
And he's trying to blow it out.
And he's like, no, wait, we're going to die. I love that bit. It's so good.
That was my favourite bit too.
So he tries to bring him back in, tries to blow it out. Unfortunately, the fire is now about to go into the gas tank. We then get a shot of a tow truck driver driving past this bridge. As he drives by, the fucking whole thing explodes near the bridge. And when the police arrive, they later discover 2 charred bodies, pretty much skeletons, holding each other and mistake them for lovers who died in a crime of passion. The end. I like this one a lot. We go on the next one, Little Bomb.
This one,
yes,
it didn't make me think of Andy.
It did make me think of Andy. Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Just like, not that this has happened to you,
One day it
but
will.
I feel like not we can all relate to it. But
It's probably the most relatable one, I think, out of all of them to everyone. So Simeon Fisher is a demolition expert. And he ends up picking up a cake for his daughter's birthday party.
It's well expensive, isn't it?
it was really expensive.
It was. You can see the wedding cake, by the way, for the later on story in that cake shop as well, in the window. And he discovers when he comes out of the cake shop that his car has been towed. We've all been there. Relatable. Goddamn DMV. Yeah. So he goes to... I can't do small talk, as you know. I'm not very good with common things. So either way. He goes to the tow car lot and argues with an employee to no avail. He says a bunch of things like you normally say, like, do you enjoy doing this? Look, I was just outside for a few minutes. I couldn't see the yellow lines. The yellow lines weren't there. How did I know that, there was no clear indication?
That did annoy me when he was like, am I supposed to have memorised where I can park everywhere? Because if there were no signs...
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I can see why he was mad.
Yes. But in the end of the day, he's like, you still have to pay the fine. You always have to pay fine.
Yeah.
You have to pay fine.
Yeah, you do. And then you have to try and get it back.
Pretty much. He grudgingly pays the towing fee and he ends up missing his daughter's party. The wife is mad to the point where his wife seems to be like at wit's ends with him in a way, saying like, this is like the last straw kind of thing. And he's like, what does that mean? But the next day, when Simeon is refused a refund for the fee of the DMV, he ends up smashing the glass in the DMV.
I've just put, he needs to calm the fuck down.
Does still remind you of Andy? Would this be a thing Andy does?
I think if I was pissed off enough, I would do that.
No.
Andy agreeing with us here.
I haven't done it yet, but I mean...
Okay, fair enough. For the purposes of the tape,
Yeah.
he hasn't done it yet.
I haven't had to be in a post office for a while, and that normally does it.
So he ends up getting arrested. The story ends up making the news. His demolition company ends up firing him. His wife seeks divorce and sole custody of his daughter. He's having a really bad day is what we're trying to say because of his car going and it just escalates into he loses his job, his wife loses him. He can't get sole custody of his daughter. Even when he's arguing with the 2 lawyers, he's sort of saying to his lawyer, why aren't you fighting for me? And then the other lawyer, the kind of prosecutor, is kind of like, well, you're not very good dad. You're quite violent, as we've seen. Da, da, da. And he's like, I'm not violent.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm okay. He ends up trying to go for a new job. My favorite thing, where he goes into a new job, smiling, all good, and he's like, hi, I'm here
He
to see...
doesn't try very hard, does he?
Well, this is the thing. He goes like, hi, I'm here to see the secretary. And they're like, she's at lunch. And he's like, it's 4 p.m. Like, yeah, I know. Which is,
Don't tell me when I can take lunch.
do you think I'm a fucking idiot? 4 p.m. for lunch. And he just fucking, you can tell her to fuck off. Tell everyone to fuck off and leaves. He's at his wit ends at this point. Then he goes back from trying to get that job interview and finds out his car has been towed yet again.
Just put, Toad again, he's going to go postal. I'm like, he is going to fucking lose his tiny mind.
He just ends up paying it this time. He's sort of in this state of like, fuck my life.
A bit zen.
Yeah, zen, like, he's got to do something, but he doesn't really know what to do. So he's just kind of like, let's just pay the fee, live my life, whatever. This is crap. Blah. But then we get a scene where he's got something in the boot of his car, which is flashing blue light on his face. And we don't really know what the hell this is yet. But he ends up attempting, or on purpose, leaving his car in a double yellowed zone while he sits at a cafe and watches as his car gets towed on purpose.
Petty Bennett approves of this plan, by the way.
I was all on board with everything he was doing until he started dipping his croissant into a coffee.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm fucking out. This guy's a monster. He deserves everything that happens to him.
You guys are so judgy about food.
Well, you have fucking...
We like to learn about cultures.
You have fucking gravy on beans, so...
Yeah, and it's a hill I'm willing to die on.
Mate, you have gravy in your breakfast. You can't fucking say much.
Yeah, it's only when it's a carvery breakfast. That's
No,
it.
you haven't taken me for breakfast gravy yet.
Next week.
I'm not fucking putting gravy in my cereal, am I?
Neither am I.
I would if I ate cereal, but...
Have either of you been to Spain? I'm not saying it's a Spanish
Yes.
thing, but... so why are you so judgy about coffee and egg and chips?
Because I think it's the butter. If it was really buttery croissant, I wouldn't want the coffee with the mixed in the butter. It's like, it's too dairy for me. I think
You're
it'd just
not
be too
eating
much.
it. Simeon's eating it.
I get...
Leave the poor man alone. He's having a horrible time. You let him do what he wants
It's
to
just
do.
no. I get that. I'm not having a go. I just found it strange that that's a thing that people do. That was it. That's all Andy was pointing out as well. I just found it
Yeah,
strange.
do you know what's going to make his time even more horrible?
What?
Finding fucking pastry crumbs at the bottom of his coffee.
I thought you were going to say cholesterol.
I don't care about cholesterol. Look at me. God, I don't care about that shit.
Or sugar. I love how this podcast has been a mixture of food, music,
And a lot of rage.
some movie talk. And a lot of rage. Yeah. So it gets towed again. And as the car is sat in the kind of tow parking lot, an explosion happens. Big explosion happens. Not the greatest CGI in the world, but I'm going to forgive him. It's not the biggest budget film, but it was pretty all right. I would say kind of CGI explosion. Destroying the offices, no casualties because he is a demolition expert. He knew the radius of the blast. He knew no one would get hurt because he put the bomb there. Very clever. Here's the weird bit. He's imprisoned and he becomes...
Yeah, this made no sense.
It's fucking... He's imprisoned and he becomes a local hero, earning the nickname of Bombita, Little Bomb, and calls on social media for his release because he finally did what everyone wanted him to do.
He stood up to
which
the
was
man.
to blow up. Yes, he stood up to the man. And there's a very weird scene at the end where he's in prison.
This
and
wouldn't happen, right? Like, it feels like they just let his daughter in the back door of the prison with a birthday cake.
it's weird and funny in a way. But yeah, we get a scene with the prison where everyone's singing along happy birthday in the prison, and the daughter and the wife come through and give Simeon his birthday cake. He blows out the birthday cake, and the cake is in the form of a tow truck, I think, as well. Yeah. And everyone's happy and jolly, and this is
that could trigger him really badly.
It's blowing out the fire on the tow. I don't know. It's just that the happiest part of this film is at the end when he's in the prison, finally doing what everyone wanted to do all their lives. And as Andy said, he stood up to the man, and now his daughter likes him, and now his wife likes him. It's just very strange.
The only time you see him smile.
Exactly, only time you see him smile as well. And that anthology part of it ends.
It's like a budget V for Vendetta. Slash. Falling down.
I liked it.
With tow truck, yeah, falling down.
This next one was my least favourite.
The proposal.
It was long and it was boring.
I think it is my least favourite as well. I think we'll get into the end. We'll say what our favourite and least favourite is. But yeah.
This one, I don't know how long they were, but it felt really long.
Yeah.
Each one gets longer, I think, as it goes on, pretty much.
Okay.
So the proposal, it's pretty straightforward. Teenager has crashed his wealthy dad's car, and he ends up arriving home. What we think at the start is committing a hit and run in his car. We don't know who to. The clever thing about this, even though I think it is kind of my least favorite, you don't realize the details, but they're all kind of told through the television reports. Like, you know who the person is, who got hit. Then you hear from later on the husband.
Yeah.
And then you hear that they're trying to find who it is, and there'll be prosecutors been sent and all that kind of stuff. So you hear a lot of things just through the television as well. This one I felt is the most Black Mirror-y, right? For me, I think it is, in a way. It was the most Black Mirror-y kind of dark ending as well. And it felt the most Black Mirror episode.
I'd probably agree. I was expecting a twist, but it never came, so...
But we end up at one point knowing that it was a hit and run on a pregnant woman. And the woman and her child are reported dead on local news. And her husband is also on the local news, swearing vengeance to whoever killed her. The parents form a plan with their lawyer, or the family lawyer, to have one person who can kind of cover up for the son. And the only person they have in this house is their groundskeeper, Jose. And he's going to take the blame in a deal that they discussed for $500,000.
I would need way more fucking money.
Well, he does ask for more.
Yeah, but originally he says yes for $500,000. I'm like, we are not even talking unless you say at least $1 million to start with.
That's the point of the film, is that the whole the entire thing of it is just people keep asking for more and more and more and more as time goes on.
We also don't know how poor he is. $500,000 might be a lot. So.
He's a groundskeeper, so not super rich.
I've literally got no notes for this one because I was bored, and one of them is I would need more money than that.
Oh, Ben. Jesus Christ. You don't even try.
This one was boring.
Yeah, I also found it probably the least interesting one, but I still, tried.
I did try. I wrote 4 notes. I didn't have anything else to say about it.
Okay. I did write, is this the house from Parasite?
No, Andy, not every house that's a mansion is from Parasite, okay?
It had big glass windows and large grassy fields.
Bless him. He's only seen one mansion and he thinks every house is a Parasite.
That's what they all look like. Buckingham Palace. Is that the Parasite house?
They end up forming a deal with the groundskeeper, $500,000. If he takes the blame, he will pretend that he drank and drove the car, and he just kind of pulled up at the house and don't remember who he hit or anything like that. However, while they're doing this and while they're trying to get the groundskeeper in the seat and cleverly adjust the seat so that it's the right position, so it's not too close or too far away, so it looks like he did actually drive it, the prosecutor turns up. And the family were going to drive away, but instead the lawyer says, no, stay here. If he's here, you got to stay here.
No, I thought they didn't. Sorry. I thought they didn't change the seat. They made him just sit in the seat and put his hands all over the steering wheel so his fingerprints were there. Didn't they catch him out because the seat was in the wrong place?
They adjusted the seat. They didn't adjust the mirrors. And that's what catches them out.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes.
Get it.
Gotcha. Sorry.
The prosecutor comes through and he ends up starting asking questions, and they immediately go into the whole scenario of, it was this guy, the housekeeper, he came home drunk. We don't know really that much than that, but he has confessed that he came home drunk. The prosecutor takes the groundskeeper to the car, sits in the car. He starts by looking at the rear mirrors and then the overhead mirror to see if he can see what the groundskeeper would see. And the interesting detail is that he's like, well, judging by your position in the car, you'll be looking at the seat covers, I think it said. I can't remember. The headrest, the roof, something like that. These mirrors are not adjusted for you, which is a bit strange. Everyone's looking around at each other.
He was drunk, inverted commas.
That's the excuse I would have used if I was in that scenario. Just he was drunk. That's the thing. The lawyer of the family ends up going, I think we should negotiate, to the dad. And he ends up negotiating with the prosecutor to say, okay, we'll do a deal with you. We've been caught, essentially. Let's do a deal with you so you get money. The caretaker now, the groundskeeper, now asks for an apartment along with his $500,000 because he wants more now.
Is that because he found out the lawyer was getting $1 million, right?
He was annoyed that the lawyer was getting $500,000. Well, his lawyer was getting $500,000. The groundskeeper was getting $500,000 as well. He was like, I'm getting as paid as much as the lawyer, yet I'm the one going to prison.
Yeah.
And he's not. Yeah. So I have to get something extra. I need the house.
Which is fair.
Yeah. When the family lawyer comes back, he says, okay, the guy wants $1 million. So that's $1 million to him, $500,000 to me as a family lawyer, $500,000 to the groundskeeper, and of course the house as well. So a lot of money. They all sit around in a study, and it's kind of revealed at one point when he says, I need $30,000 for fees. I may need to pay off the police if anyone's outside, if anyone saw anything. The father then kind of gets annoyed and says, wait a minute, I'm already giving you $1 million, so I'm going to take $30,000 out of that from your fees. To which the prosecutor says, who's getting $1 million?
Because also, he's mad at his lawyer, isn't he? Because he's like, well, I pay your company loads of money. I pay you on retainer. So he's like, I already fucking pay you. And he's like, yeah, but I want $1 million for this. And then the fees as well. So no wonder he gets the fucking arseache.
Basically, everyone's trying to screw each other. This is how we're getting here. But then the guilty son says he wants to confess to the crowd outside of the house. The father at this point is really frustrated because he got his lawyers, he got his groundskeeper, he got this prosecutor trying to ask for more money. They're like, I'm not doing this deal anymore. The deal's off. He shouts at the son. He's like, go and confess, go ruin your life, whatever, do what you want. Couldn't give a shit.
Isn't he like, you always do what you want anyway?
Yeah, pretty much.
Just do what you want. I don't give a shit. Goes upstairs, listens to some nice music. It's like classical music at really loud volume. I really wish at this point it was like fucking emo music he put on or something and just put like a pillow between his ears and lie in the bed and go, no one likes it. Finally, the lawyer renegotiates and the father agrees on a lower price as we see Jose is taken away by police, and out of the crowd, we see the dead woman's husband strike him repeatedly in the head with a hammer before fading to black and hearing a woman scream. The end.
Yeah.
I felt like there was going to be a twist there where the dude hit a dog and not the woman.
Yeah, that'd be a shit twist.
Well, I just was expecting, like, I was expecting one of them to die anyway, but I was also expecting them not to be the person who killed the pregnant woman. It left me a little flat.
It didn't need a twist. I think it made its mission point pretty clear, but yeah. I don't think it's out of all of them, though. I didn't find it the most entertaining. It's definitely the most depressing out of all of them, I probably would say, but yeah. Less funny.
It definitely wasn't funny.
No, definitely wasn't funny. And finally, the last of the anthology films in Wild Tales, Until Death Do Us Part. We're at a Jewish wedding, and the bride, Romina, discovers that her groom, Ariel, I didn't know that's... I'm not trying to be that guy, but I didn't know that was a guy's name, Ariel. But then again... Yep. I'm not from fucking Spain.
You only have the mermaid for...
That's what I thought, like Ariel. Yeah, pretty much. Us English people don't fucking know shit.
I mean, I knew. I'm just saying you only had the
all right, Pen.
mermaid for reference.
All right, sorry. God, all right. I get it. I see. Gang up on Dan. All right.
Don't lump me in with you.
So, we're having a wedding party. Everyone's happy, dancing, etc. What you do in parties. Don't need to fucking explain.
What really annoyed me was the weird mix of music. Like there was a DJ and then like polka music.
Jewish wedding.
I know, I've been to one. That didn't happen. But I'm just... What, that I've been to a Jewish wedding?
I'm just trying to get back at you.
We did the whole chair thing. That was fun.
So, everyone's happy, party, dancing, all that kind of stuff. Something you would see at the end of a happy Disney film, I would say, right? Just the bride and the groom, they're all happy. All the fucking, that shitty... Is it David Guetta music is playing? Is it David Guetta?
Sia, I think.
I don't know pop music. What the kids listen to these days. It's all happiness. Everything's great. You know, family's there, all that kind of stuff. Romania sees her husband talking to a girl with a tattoo. The worst kind of girl.
Oh, they are the worst kind.
Especially the star on the arm tattoo.
She's got stars on the elbows?
It's stars on the elbow and arm, isn't it? It's the star tattoo.
Is that what she had?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was star tattoos. Yeah.
Didn't notice.
Okay. At least one of us paying attention.
Some of us were writing notes.
I was writing the whole fucking script at this point. So she sees her husband talking to this girl with a tattoo. Now, it's not super flirty, but we'll get into reasons in a second. But, you know, there's some connection there of some sort. It's like, hi, how's it going? Huh.
They're work colleagues, right?
Work colleagues is what
That's what
find out later, but yeah.
Well, she's with all the other people that he works with at the table.
Yeah. So at this point, she ends up grabbing what we think at the time, and what I thought it was his phone. And she rings a number on the phone, and this girl with the tattoo picks up. She rings it again. This girl with tattoo picks up. Hola. Not saying anything. But then the girl with tattoo notices that the bride is staring directly at her with a phone in hand. She's now got her phone in hand. They're both staring at each other. The girl with tattoo quickly goes to the person next to her and go, act like you're speaking to me. Just act like you're speaking to me. Oh shit, I'm dead. Something is up. She now has to do a first dance with her husband, and she starts asking about the girl over there. She starts to put the pieces together of, oh, that's just I said it's a work colleague, but she was like, strange, I had this number ring me about a couple of months ago, and I think she asked first,
No.
How does she know you're a guitar teacher? Yeah,
because somebody rang him and he didn't answer it. And he said, oh, it's just my guitar teacher. And she wrote down the number and then she called it when everybody was in there.
A few months ago when I answered your phone, they hung up and you said it was your guitar teacher. So I saved the number. Now I call it and it's this girl. Seems strange this girl has your guitar teacher's phone line, is what she says.
I mean, it is a weird coincidence, isn't it?
I find it strange that she immediately suspected something, so she saved the number. Like, it must have been like a building up to some tension in a relationship. You wouldn't just do that straight away, right? You wouldn't just save a number that someone rang, even though, you know?
I mean, I guess so. You're probably right, unless you wanted guitar lessons. Also, the fact that she thinks that women can't play guitar or teach guitar lessons is pretty...
Well, no, nobody answered.
Pretty obnoxious to me.
He didn't say, oh, that's my guitar teacher. He said, that's my work colleague. So it's like, well...
She ends up putting one and one together, and yeah, it's the number that is saved as, or she thought was guitar teacher, is actually this girl. So he ends up confessing during the dance, along with the parents trying to join in an awkward time, that he slept with her. She ends up running to the roof, where she meets a kitchen worker smoking.
I know he says they only fucked once and he didn't mean anything, but who fucking invites their side piece to their wedding?
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
That's the...
Like, if she's just a work colleague, and the balls of her to turn up as well. Just be like...
Yeah.
Maybe she was like, well, he's invited me, so I have to go. Everyone else is going, but...
Yeah.
It's asking for trouble.
It's not good.
And then, how mad would she be? Like, she's fucking paid for her side piece's meal. It's probably, it looks like a nice fancy wedding. She probably had a nice dinner out of it as well, and she banged her husband.
I don't think she paid for it, because he's minted in it.
I suppose he paid for it, but still. It's their money now, Andy.
I wonder what was on the
I
spread.
love how we've looped back to food. Somehow we just go back to food every time. Anyway, she goes up to the roof. Looks like she's about to jump off the roof until, in like a very Disney-esque way, a man in a chef's hat comes out of the shadows smoking.
Ratatouille.
Ratatouille.
It's Linguini.
Linguini, and comes off and he's like, what's the matter? And he's trying to calm her down. He does her best to calm her down. He says, if you love him, you'll be able to forgive him. And she just goes, no, he's an asshole. And he's like,
I mean, I didn't know how I felt about that. I was quite angry at that chef.
He goes, in that case, to hell with him. If I were you...
He's also like, you have to move on.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
It's been 5 minutes. It's literally been 5 minutes. And
I
he's
like this guy. I think he's
right.
right. No, I think he's right.
No, he's like, forgive your asshole husband. You have to move on. She hasn't even processed it yet.
No, he says, if I were you, I'd go downstairs, end the party early, tell him it's over afterwards, and then move on with your life. If that's how you feel, if you think he's an asshole.
But he just said she needed to forgive him. Make up your mind. Is she forgiving him or is she leaving him?
Yeah, Pen. He says, if you love him, you'll be able to forgive him. She says, no, he's an asshole. And then he says, in that case, to hell with him.
I guess. It's all very quick, or she's literally just found out, though. I was like, you're not helping, dude.
I mean, he says the right things, but yeah. He says, go downstairs and end the party and tell him it's over. So she hugs him. She stares at him. She kisses him.
Then they bang on the roof in a very Disney-esque.
Disney-esque. Especially later part when the groom ends up running up the stairs and he finds them both shagging upstairs on the roof. The chef ends up running away. And like some Wicked Witch of the West style of performance, she ends up going, I'm going to make your life a living hell.
She's fucking great in this.
She's really good in this bit.
Yeah.
She's like, announces to him she'll sleep with every man who shows her interest. He'll take him for what he's worth. If he tries to divorce her or when he dies, every day will be a living nightmare with me because of this fucking ring that's on my finger. We're legally married now, so ha ha.
Pretty much.
He ends up puking because he's scared or just scared of this kind of attitude that comes out of her. She ends up going back to the party, going back to dancing. He ends up trying to chase her, gets caught up in the party. Everyone thinks it's okay. Everything is going fine. They've sorted it out. The spat is over.
You know when I said I went to this Jewish wedding and they did the thing on the chairs, they put them on the chairs and like, and everyone's dancing around. They never took the groom's trousers off. I don't know if that's a thing.
Yeah, that's weird.
That was a bit weird. Yeah, this one they did, but I don't know if it was just a joke.
I don't know if that's a traditional Jewish thing. I think maybe they put that in there.
I imagine his mates were just lads.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, right into us. If you've been to a Jewish wedding and pulling down the groom's pants is one thing you do while they're on the chairs, let us know. Anyway, she ends up grabbing the woman that Ariel slept with to the dance floor, does the old spinneroony, which I mean by grabbing each other's hands.
Spinneroony.
Not the other spinneroony, but by grabbing each other's hands, linking them or crossing them and just spinning around.
It's a Cockney wedding, in it? The old spinneroony.
The old spinneroony. Link arms. Oh, shit. Madness is playing in the background.
Hokey cokey.
The fuck is going on?
They end up spinning around. Romania is kind of like, yeah, no, let's do it. Yeah, it's not like you slept with my husband. Whatever. Yeah. Spins her and then flings her straight into a glass mirror and she gets fucked up. Shards of glass everywhere on her skin, everywhere. She's completely... It's a great wedding so far, to be honest. If I was at this wedding, I'd be like, wow, this is some fucking wedding.
You would talk about this wedding for the rest of your life.
It's all you would talk about. Great. Anytime anyone said the word wedding.
Yeah.
Exactly. You'd be like,
be so good.
Did you hear about this one? it's all become an absolute mess at this point. Romania's kind of having a breakdown at points. Ariel is going through this kind of thing of telling her, like, what you're doing to me doesn't compare what I did, which I don't think that's the case, really. But I mean, it's becoming violent now. I think it's getting to the point where you think she's going to kill someone. So he's starting to have a cry. She's crying. They're fainting all over the place. Doctors are coming in, trying to check the blood pressure and everything. Ariel at one point gets up and he grabs the champagne. We don't know it's champagne, but you hear a large pop, like a fucking gunshot went off. And turns out he popped the champagne. He ends up walking over to grab the knife from the cake and get some ground cake.
It's floor cake.
But the 5-second rule wasn't in place there. It's been there for a while, that ground cake. So
I think the bit that he grabbed wasn't
that
necessarily
much,
touching the ground.
Yeah, sure, fair enough. It was the top bit.
Plus, you just give the bit that was on the floor to the guests.
He does, doesn't he?
You keep the good stuff for yourself.
Yeah, it's all a bit of a mess, but the two of them are basically just a mess at this point. There's blood on her dress and everything. Her hair is in a mess. At this point, Ariel sort of just looks at her. She looks at him. He puts out his hand. They kind of approach each other, have another kind of slow dance. And it's kind of sweet and romantic in a way while everyone's kind of watching them going, what the fuck is going on? Why now are they fucking together? And then they dance, they kiss, and then they begin to have sex by the cake as the guests
And everyone
leave.
just politely leaves. But you would, because she's fucking mental.
Politely just moves away. Yeah.
Would you not stick it out? Stick it out might have been the wrong term there. Would you not hang around?
Maybe a little.
Because again, one hell of a wedding, isn't it?
One hell of an ending to a wedding. But I guess it does do the whole process of a wedding. Maybe you have a fight and then you just end it on makeup sex pretty much. So.
You're taking bets on how long that shit's lasting, right? Everyone there.
That is going to be a very violent relationship.
It's going to be extra icing on that cake.
Oh, Daniel.
Still got it.
And weirdly, I put that's an extra creamy cake, so...
And that ends Wild Tales, the anthology film. Andy, what did you think? And what was your favourite and what was your least favourite story?
I think my favourite one was the first one.
Panzer Neck.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it was because it was short or quite dry, but I quite enjoyed that one. I did like the wedding one, in fairness. My least favourite, I didn't like the tow truck one. It just went on for too long.
Or Little Bomb?
No.
The guys
one
killing
with
each
the
other in the
breakdown.
You didn't like that one? Oh,
No.
It was the dry poo.
The strongest.
Just went on for too long.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, there was some point generally it looked really nice the whole way through, and each story has its own style and aesthetic.
Yeah,
but some of them just went on for a little bit too long, and they could have been shorter. Like that one, The Strongest went on for too long. The Proposal went on for too long. Parts of Little Bomb went on too long. So I think if they'd shrunk them down a little bit, would have been fine. But that said, I do quite like an anthology. Wasn't terrible. The escalation in some of them was quite enjoyable. I think it's all supposed to be about the extremes of human behaviour.
Yeah. Or revenge. Kind of the old tales of revenge, technically, aren't they?
Well,
if you think about it. So the plane is revenge on the people that pissed them off. Rats is revenge on the loan shark. In the car one, it's more like revenge for something you did, and then it goes back and forth between the two guys in the cars doing stuff. Bombita's revenge on the
DMV.
Tow truck, DMV. And I guess
the husband.
The Proposal is the only one that really isn't revenge, I guess.
Nah, the husband gets the revenge.
Oh, he does, yeah, I guess so. And then the wedding one is the woman, Romania, getting revenge on her husband.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't take it as revenge, I took it as extremes emotions. But, I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter. I thought it was fine. I'd happily watch it again. I think there is probably quite a lot to dig out of it. But I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay. Pen?
Yeah, it was fun. I found it interesting that we know I like an anthology. They are usually, like everything in my life, horror anthologies. And we have talked about how long they are. And I've said I kind of like a 20, 25-minute story. I did not count how long these were, but I assume the first one was short. They weren't all a similar length. Was it an hour and 45? Was it 2 hours? I can't remember. I watched this a few days ago.
I think it was 2 hours.
So if it was 2 hours and there was 6, they were... If you evened it out, they would be 20 minutes each. Whereas like you said, they get longer, so they weren't So I found it kind of interesting that that's the way they went, because some of them were too long. I quite liked the wedding one. It didn't feel too long. The one I liked the least about the hit and run felt really long. Petty Bennett quite liked the first one. And then maybe I enjoyed the wedding one the most. Yeah, it was fine. I wouldn't watch it again because I know what happens now. I know that happens with all films. I don't know why I said that. I have no urge to watch it again. What? I don't know.
What the fuck?
I have no urge to watch it again.
That's a harsh criticism on a film you just see.
Yeah.
Pen, bless you.
It was absolutely fine. Yeah, I like an anthology. I liked all of them. The only one I disliked was the hit and run one. So I'm going to give it a normal person average of 5.
5?
That's lower than I expected.
Okay. I think this is a very, 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 very good anthology film. I've seen many that have not been up to standards of this. I think it's really well paced. I don't mind it being longer as it goes on, because I usually find that, especially if you're not digging a film, you rather have like the short things first, so you get to see, the stories quicker. And if you're into it, you kind of watch the longest thing last in a way, which is kind of how I dig this film. When I first saw it years ago, I was like, okay, I think I'll watch the last one because I'm starting to like this, and I did. I think it's great performances by people I've never seen before. It's a mixture of that kind of, it's dark humor with weird things in it sometimes, but there's also relatable things when we talked about Little Bomb that everyone in the world can relate to. It's a fun film. I never felt, maybe as Penn said, with the one that was least funny, that kind of was the most out there out of all of them, the one with the hit and run. I think that one was the only one that kind of brought it down a bit. But besides that, I think it's a really good anthology film, and it's hard to find ones that are actually this good. So I think it's done a good job. I think my favorite was The Strongest, because it's just that back and forthness of it is.
Sorry, Cars.
It's the one with the two cars. Right. I think it's my favorite because it's funny, just the back and forthness of it, and when you think it's going to end, it's like, no, the guy comes back for more, and it's just in a way relatable to some people that we may know who are just like will say what they want online, and then in person they're just like, don't hurt me. And yeah, I think the Proposal one just is kind of, out of all of them, is the one that's the least funny and more kind of for the dark Black Mirror kind of audience, I think. But I still really liked it. I really like this anthology, and I highly, highly recommend it. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I'm
just thinking about my score, and not because of what you guys said, but normally when I watch the Hat movie, I watch it on the day we record. And this week,
that's not the filmmaker's fault.
No. That's what I'm saying. I'm now thinking about it. So normally I watch it the day we record, and this week I did not, and I actually watched it like 4 or 5 days ago. So I quite enjoyed it. I'm actually thinking maybe it's a penny average, not a normal person average. So I'm going to change it to a 7.
Peer pressure.
No, I don't think it was. I was just like, it was. I was thinking about my averages. I enjoyed it when I watched it, but now it's like 5 days later. I'm like, whatever, it's fine.
She's got that title to keep hold. She doesn't want the nation to be angry at her.
I don't give a shit what they think. I'm just trying to...
Ooh. You hear that, everyone? You hear that? That's what she's really like.
Because I know they'll love me either way. I was just trying to go with how I normally score and how I normally go with my gut, and I don't usually sit with a movie as long.
You can sit with a 5 if that's how you feel. I know. Okay. Let's pull the film out of the hat for next week then, I guess. Film out of the hat's where we take a film, watch it in 2 weeks' time. You know the drill by now, but in case you're new here, hi.
It's not normally like this.
Out of a hat.
There's usually less caffeine and more sleep.
It's not normally like this. We've all had hard days today.
It's been a week.
And we're either losing sleep or all too much caffeine. And it's been a week. Anyway, that's no excuse. We're here to entertain you. Here is the drums.
Here is the drums.
Didn't even explain what the drums were, so yeah, you already fucking know. So it is a...
It's not been mine for ages.
I think it is a penny film.
Ooh.
It was bound to be. Now we're going to just get a slew of penny films.
shit 90s horrors.
It could be.
I'm just making sure it is. You'll probably tell me if it's not, because it was like on next to the list where Andy was, so we'll see. It's either an Andy or Penny film, we'll find out.
That's why I'm trying not to get excited, because it might not even be mine.
We're watching the 2005 horror slasher film, the 2001 Maniacs. Oh no, that laugh is the most evil laugh. Gory, but
It's fucking dumb. It's so good.
Quiche trailer set in the deep south of the US about a gang of college kids on spring break who spend the night in an appropriately named town of Pleasant Valley, a decision which they will rue. Okay.
Freddy Krueger's in
Can
this.
you tell us a bit about this without spoiling it? Just give us some idea what we're fucking getting into for next time, please.
Robert Englund's in it. I have not seen it. I was going to say since the last time I watched it. Fucking hell. I haven't seen it in a long time. It is about, like it says, a bunch of college kids that end up in a... What year was this film? 2005. Yeah. So in a rural southern town. So remember, it's 2005, everyone. So I think... And things are not what they seem in the town.
2005 wasn't that long ago.
No, but I feel like now I'm thinking back on it, I don't know if the southern stereotypes are particularly good. I cannot remember.
Okay.
It's a dumb horror movie, and this is one of the ones I put in the hat the second. So remember, I always put in films that I like because I want to share them with people, and you guys didn't.
Yes.
So the second time around, I put in some films to annoy you. So this is one of those. Enjoy.
Well, we had it coming, to be honest, me and Andy. We've already done our bit, I think.
There's still not that many, I don't think, that are in there to annoy you. But this one is a dumb fucking horror film. So
wait, what happens? What happens now if we watch this and go, that was fucking excellent?
Then you're both idiots. Like, it's fun.
Oh,
and it's...
we're the idiots.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The thing is, we're both petty enough to do it.
Yeah, we'll probably do it just to get a reaction out of you. We'll fucking reverse psychology. We'll figure this out.
It's fun, it's silly, it's slasher, it's gory, from what I remember.
We're going to go through hell, ladies and gents. If you'd like to join us going through Penny's description of hell...
Now I'm having a look. It might be the only one I put in to annoy you.
2001 Maniacs from 2005. How confusing. Anyway, Penny, what's our socials, please?
You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Unusual Suspects Pod, and on Twitter at Unusual Podspect. I'm at Penny_photopit.
I'm at 2 fried eggs on some chips. Dan talks a lot.
At Choices 21.
You're still thinking about them though, aren't you, Andy? The whole podcast you've been thinking about it.
Don't know
Yeah,
what the problem is with egg and chips, you weirdos.
It's the fact that he just went, yeah, I am. No, I mean, one day we'll try it out. We'll see how it is. We'll give a review, probably. Let you all know. Egg on chips, does it work?
The thing is, I've got no issue with like dipping an
egg.
No,
I've got no issue with dicking
Dicking
an
an
egg. I've got no issue with dipping a chip in an
Yes.
egg yolk, but as a meal, fucking...
It's just
what is the
potatoes
point?
and egg.
Ham, egg and chips, that's fine, because it's got meat, right?
Yeah, I guess.
What if you're vegetarian? You go down the seafront, have egg and chips and a cup of tea. Probably.
There you go.
Are you asking my opinion, or...
I don't know. I don't know why you guys think it's weird. Bless you, Jesus.
This podcast has gone off the rails so
hell.
quickly.
I nearly fucking ruptured something there.
Thank you very much for joining us. Stay hydrated, stay healthy, stay off the caffeine, get your sleep, get your 8 hours, and treat each other nicely. Summer's here, ladies and gents. Time to be happy.
It's come home. I'm sure everyone's still happy.
It's
about
come
that.
home.
Probably.
It's
I still
summertime.
don't really understand what that means, but let's not get into that.
We discussed it last time. Let's not do it again. Love you all. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
You really need to go to sleep.
Yeah. Bye.